You believe in Jesus?
Yes, I do.
Well, you're going to meet him.
You see what fun this is? It's going to get really exciting. I know what to do now. They've made it clear.
You warriors are good. Real good. The best.
This is the end of your rotten life, you motherfucking dope pusher.
We'd make one hell of a team, Snake.
The name's Pliskin.
Hey everybody, welcome to 42nd Street Forever, the official podcast of Grindhouse Cinema Database. I'm Pete Roberts. This is episode 2, and my special guest today on this episode is the author of 4 books, including Cher, Strong Enough, and Donna Summer, Her Life, and Music. He's written articles for the New York Times, Reader's Digest, and the Village Voice, and is a veteran of more than 100 radio broadcasts. He's also a regular contributor to the Grindhouse Cinema Database, as well as our affiliate film blog, Furious Cinema. In 2014 and 2015, he made regular appearances on TV1's award-winning documentary series Unsung. His book, Blaxploitation Cinema, The Essential Reference Guide, is now in its 2nd edition and is available on Amazon, and we highly recommend picking up a copy. I'm very happy to welcome Josiah Howard on this podcast. Hey, Jay.
Good morning. How are you doing over there?
I'm doing good. Doing really good. No, it's the 50th anniversary of Blaxploitation Cinema, and you just had a special poster exhibit in New York City, right?
Yeah, it's pretty special. So the poster exhibit is not mine, but it is presented by Poster House Museum here in New York City. I have 20 posters. They have, when you go in, it's an interactive experience. There's music playing. They have all the magazines. Pam Grier was on the cover of Ms. and Richard Reynolds from Shaft was on the cover of Newsweek. So all of that is there. So it's an exciting place to visit. It's going to be up until March of 2022. Is this 2021, 2022?
Yeah, right. Yep.
If you're in New York, drop by and see it. Yeah,
that sounded like really exciting. And, especially for people that love that art, the poster art, we all do, since we're movie geeks,
Completely. And I got to tell you, Pete, I learned so much from helping curate that. I didn't know that a lot of the posters were illustrated by Japanese Americans.
Yes, I think the ones by the one Coffy was it George? I can't remember his last name, but it was a Japanese guy. George Ekatito or something like that, that. Yeah,
I don't remember his name either, but
that was interesting. I didn't know that either. Yeah,
what a revelation,
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, they did some awesome art. I love all those AIP posters, like Coffy and Black Caesar and all those. Those are great.
So I have a bunch of the posters we know, but the only I have in the house is the Coffy one, because that is
you got to have the Coffy poster. Yeah, we love that. I love that one too. Yeah.
To learn more about that through the Poster House exhibition, it was great. Oh gosh, I didn't know that.
Foxy Brown, I love that one. I love all those. I love all those posters. That's like my favorite stuff. But
you have one up in your house, Pete? What's on display there as far as Blaxploitation goes?
Superfly and Black Caesar and Coffy. Those are the ones I have.
Copy that. I got it.
I love those. Yeah, and the Shaft one is really iconic too. That the coming through the window with the gun and the. I love that font, that special font, that cool. That was a good 70s font. I think it was called IBC something. IBC.
You're a font man, so you know more about that.
I love typography, all that stuff. So, but that's so. I just can't believe it's 50 years. 50 years. Wow.
50 years, Pete. But I always 50 years is a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
not a long time.
And it's like when do you think, the first movies that when we talk about the beginning of Blaxploitation, we kind of talk about Sweetback, but I always if you watch that movie, it's almost like an art film. You know what I mean? It's not like
completely.
I always say it's like if Fellini had made a Blaxploitation film, that's Sweetback, but you'd have to see some Fellini film to know what I'm trying to say, but it's like, but then there's like Shaft, and that's like a genre film. Like it's a straight up, it's basically like a film noir. but it's like with like, the black detective, Private Eye, as opposed to like, a Bogart or something. So it's like, I see like there's a difference between those two. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree.
So that's when the real genre film started. So then you'd get Coffy, and that was like a vigilante film. And then, the Blackula, the horror film, you know what I'm saying? So that's the way I saw that part of it.
I'm in agreement with you. I mean, Sweetback is praised because it's an art house film, and it's written, produced, and directed by an African American. So that was a new idea.
Right.
It does not really fall into what people generally think about blaxploitation.
Right. That's what I mean.
And, weird.
But the thing is, it kind of set, like, by the end of the movie, it's almost like a stepping stone into the blacks. You know what I mean? Like, but because it's almost like, he's going to be coming back to get, I forgot what the end credits said.
Well, it's got the end
back's coming back, and it's almost like the movie itself isn't so much just like, blaxploitation, but it almost like sets the tone for the next, the next wave of the real blaxploitation movies.
I agree. So it's introduction that the black man finally wins.
Right. That's exactly what I was
thinking. Right. Not the black man doctor, black man servant.
Yeah.
The black sexy black stud man.
Right.
Wins.
And he sets the tone for Richard Roundtree and Shaft, and the whole sexy black tough dude, and that's like what everybody loved. So he really set the tone for that, or set the thing is in motion for that. But
and it
was, I was wondering, what was the first movie you saw in the genre? Do you remember? Like, you must,
Yes, I do. So I saw a bunch of them before I could, which was at 10.5 or 11, and I saw them because my babysitters were teenagers and they wanted to see them. So they
take you to the movies.
They brought us to the movies, and I saw them too early, Pete. I saw them too early in that.
I know what you're saying.
All the time. Yeah, it was a shock. So I had never seen an adult nude, right? So it's filled with nudity, these films.
Right.
My family didn't curse. I didn't hear people cursing. So that was a shock.
That was like a wake up for all that.
I saw somebody put a needle in their arm before. That's the movies.
And the violence and everything. And
and the violence was shocking. And don't forget, it's not just talking, it's 30 feet high in your face.
Right. It really makes an impact.
Overload.
Yeah. So for me, like,
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like, I didn't see I was too young to see the blaxploitation films, but like something that I would see like that at a young age was like Rambo. I went to see, what I mean? So it's like the same thing, but like, a different time period. But anyways, we're going off track, but that's definitely.
So Pete, what was your first blaxploitation? What was your
first blaxploitation film I remember seeing was like, I was a teenager and I saw it on TV. It was Cleopatra Jones and the Casino of Gold. And that was before like I even knew like about genres and stuff. I didn't know, I just watched it as a movie and I thought it was really cool, but I didn't know, you know what I mean? I didn't know all the history of all that, all the films and the whole thing. So
did you look?
I remember really liking it.
So you just enjoyed it as a picture.
Yeah, I just enjoyed it like as a cool action movie. But then like also at the same time, around that same time, I was into hip hop. And as I was listening to the lyrics, I'd hear them reference Shaft and Superfly and Dolemite. And I still didn't really know what those were. Like, I just knew they were, like characters, movie characters or something, but I didn't know anything about the blaxploitation cinema. And then one day I think I was in Strawberries Records and Tapes. And I was like, looking through the soundtrack section, and I came across.
First of all, I love the name of the store.
Yeah, it was Strawberry. Yeah, they all had like fruit names, like strawberries, coconuts, like all that stuff. So all those different names. But I was in Strawberries, and I was looking through the soundtrack section. And I came across Pimps, Players, and Private Eyes, and the cover was like done in like blaxploitation cinema art way, and it just grabbed my eye, and I was like, oh, what is this? This looks cool. So I checked it out, and I think the font is the same one as the Shaft font. It has like that that what I was talking about. So it just grabbed my eye. So I looked at it. I picked it up, and then I brought it home, listened to the music. It was all the soundtracks from the blaxploitation films, and I was like, oh, I love this. But then this is before the internet, remember? So I didn't have any way to really see the movies because I didn't have any. Today you can go right on Amazon and buy all this stuff, but back then there was nothing. So I was just listening to. I was just hoping I could see the movies someday, but it's like years before I saw them. So that's what happened with that. So it just piqued my interest with those two things, and then over time, like like a, maybe Pulp Fiction came out and like, Quentin would be talking about blaxploitation, and then you'd see more movies show up on TV or on cable and stuff. So that's like sort of how it happened. And then after I saw Coffy, and then I was like I was just a fan of the movies after I saw Coffy. I loved that one. So
And
that
you
was
see
just
Coffy
sort of
at
my
what
history
age?
with that. What's that?
You see Coffy at what age?
I was probably like 18 or 19 when I saw Coffy.
that's
It was on
better.
cable. Yeah, I was older. I mean, this wasn't like when you saw it when you were like a little kid or anything, but
Yes.
but I mean, so that was how it started for me. So then after that, I started, watching Coffy, and I'd see like some other movie, like, the Mac, and I love the Mac too, but we'll get into all that stuff later on. But there's so many different avenues to go down. I
think you have started wonderfully by just pointing out it's been 50 years.
Yeah, 50.
And it's still interest in these low budget Black films that came out for inner city audiences for the most part, but that crossed over and became #1 films.
Right.
So people forget that these were the #1 films in America.
Didn't Superfly like knock Godfather out of the #1 spot or something?
It did. And what does that mean?
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of gets to our whole point. Yeah, that gets to the whole point of what we're talking about, because, they're Black films made for Black, but they're sort of not, they're made for like kind of everybody. I guess that says, to me,
exactly.
Everybody found something in that to connect to.
Uptown, there's this dude who's bad. And he ain't just fly, he's super fly. Yeah, super fly. When it comes to women, they come to him. He's got it all. The pad, the money, the ride. But it's still not enough.
I'm gonna run a number. I'm getting out the $1 million in cash. This is a chance, and I want to take it now, before I have to kill somebody, before somebody ices me.
He wants a big score, $1 million in cash. Yeah, the big one. He's got a plan to stick it to the man. He's super hood, super high, super dude, super fly. Super Fly, a 6-show production from Warner Brothers. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without a parent.
And they're also events, and they're also a phenomenon. So people like phenomenons like Jaws want to be a part of what's going on with all these Black movies. Let's see Superfly. So that knocked Godfather out of the #1 spot.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, but it's not. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People were, I think people love to see, like, it's just back then it was a new thing just to see like those types of characters. And like, he's fighting back against the man. He wants to, he wants to like break out of the life he's been stuck in. And, everybody can sort of identify with that on some level. You know what I mean? I feel like,
And also, Peter, what was about most of these films is that the people are not working within the system.
They're outsiders, they're rebels fighting against.
They have figured out how to make their money outside of the system and glorified in the films. You do not have.
And there's like an entrepreneurial aspect of that, of that we can all like, kind of like look up to.
We want to be our own bosses.
Right. I don't want to. And that's like, that can be like Joe, the white guy, or it can be like, Bill, the Asian guy, or it doesn't matter who you are.
Own boss completely.
Yeah. We all have that type of like dream or feeling about stuff. So that's what I think I found with those films. It wasn't so much
the were popular in Mexico and in Germany and France and in Italy with really a big audience because everybody wanted to do what they were doing.
Right. I mean, it was very like universal in a way, because out of those things, the race thing, of course, is always at the forefront of the genre. But after that, if you're just that what it is, it's right there in front of you. But after you go past that, then you're like kind of connecting with the characters. You know what I mean? You're connecting to those things that we all have, like we were just talking about. So that's what I felt about those. Yeah.
Agreed. These are not malicious people. They just want to do best for them.
A better life, pretty much.
Yeah, and sometimes avenues are closed, so they find another avenue.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to point out in those movies. And it also was, and then also at the same time, it was giving Black people a lot of like good, artists. They were having a good, showcase for their work, and they were getting, they were just making themselves, the real people were actually making a better life for themselves too. So there was different levels to that, which I thought were really interesting.
I like that you said that. Yes, because people, Black performers,
right,
and Black stunt people,
right,
and Black directors and sound people all getting jobs.
And the composers, we can't forget that.
Oh, maybe they know something more about this.
Yeah,
us, union men.
Right. And we can't forget the great soundtracks for all the movies. Oh, that's like such a big part of those films. We love. I mean, I'm still listening to all those soundtracks right now. So
completely. I mean, that was one of the things. Movies, they have to be presented to be financed.
Right. Right.
Finance. It was who's going to be singing on the soundtrack.
Right. James Brown or
legend.
Right.
From James Brown to Marvin Gaye to Barry White, even Gladys Knight does a movie.
Yeah. And Martha Reed.
You wanted the cred of being part of the Blaxploitation film genre.
Yeah, I mean, it really brought all those great artists together, and I just, I can't say anything bad about them, those movies, because everything about them I just love. I mean, pretty much across, as far as like, there's different levels of quality, of course, but is the whole genre is just one of my most favorites. So I mean, I just love it. I still love it. I'll be watching it when I'm 80 years old, I'm sure. But
I will disagree with you on one point, is that I do think some of the films are not very good.
Yeah, that's actually what I was saying. Different levels of quality. Yeah,
because they're ambitious. They're
right.
Ambitious too.
Right.
And they're fun as a reference and certainly a history. But some of them aren't really great.
But I mean, like if you watch Dolemite, I mean, that's pretty, it's the quality of the filmmaking isn't so great, but it does have it has such a lot of charm to it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I always found it very it's just very, the charm of Rudy Ray Moore and his supporting cast, Lady Reed and, all those people, they have like a charm to them. So it's like, even though you're seeing like a boom mic hanging in the shots and stuff, it's still like, really enjoyable. I don't know. I just liked all the characters and stuff. That was what was fun about it for me. It wasn't so much like, the bad kung fu, scenes or when he's
those 5 films. Those are personality driven. So we just love him.
Yeah. It's just Rudy Ray Moore.
Voice to be loved, that he's not the sexy man. He's the cool man.
He's crazy. He's like kicking people and he's like, the kick is like about 4 feet away from the person.
It's a child's kick. I mean,
it was really funny. I don't know, but I mean, it's
totally funny, unintentionally,
But then then you'll go see Superfly, and that's more like almost like a semi-documentary feel to it. And I mean, almost like you're watching that stuff go on in real, you know what I mean? In real life.
Motion photography, they do a lot in that. That's very interesting.
But I really like that film, just the way it looked, and it just felt so real to me. I don't know. I got
to say that is up there with my favorites, because it's just that with the soundtrack.
The soundtrack is that's my number one favorite Blaxploitation soundtrack is Superfly. I just think it's brilliant. Yeah, Curtis Mayfield.
Curtis
Mayfield.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
From one film.
Yeah,
really wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like and then it also acts as like a commentary for the film itself. So you can listen to the soundtrack and you hear all this.
There's a song about lovemaking. There's a song about
Freddie's dead. It tells you kind of about his story and little stories
Mm-hmm.
And then the Mac is another really good one that kind of shows things out in Oakland, what it was like out there. Yeah. And I love that one too. That's one of my most favorites.
That's a lot of fun, because a lot of people weren't so knowledgeable about what was going on in California. It's really just, at the time, Chicago and New York were the cities that were reported on. So that was a travel log. It's like, oh, this play with sunshine, but they've also got these.
They've also got the pimp culture.
Yeah,
I love that.
But an introduction to us Easterners.
But I think Max Julian in that is just, he's just couldn't get any. You can't get any cooler than Max Julian in the Mac. I just think he's just so. He just has such good. He's just so charming and stuff to everybody, and he's just funny, and then Richard Pryor's in it too. That's a little highlight, to see him in an early role in that movie. He's really funny, and
Pryor,
and every single scene he's in, he's like always making a joke or something. It's just really funny to see all that stuff. I love that.
And the fashions,
and also the soundtrack, another great soundtrack.
And the soundtrack,
yeah, I love that one. I think that was I think I first heard of that one when I was watching True Romance, the Quentin Tony Scott movie There's a little
Got
clip
it.
of that in there, and that's where I first learned about that movie. So then I saw that, and I was like, okay, now I want to see the Mac. And I was trying to look around for that one. You know,
you were always on the lookout.
yeah, I'm always. It was just like the same thing with the Street Fighter in that movie. Like when I saw the Street Fighter clips, I was like, okay, I got to see the Street Fighter movies now because it looked so cool to me. So I don't know. That's just my little. I love all those little pop culture references and stuff.
And the way that they introduced you to things you've known about.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of how you do it. You like, you know, I was into movies and I'd like see like little clips, like, and then there was another thing about like I was watching the movie House Party with Kid and Play, and his father, played by Robin Harris, brings up that, you know, their little movie that they love to watch together is Dolemite. That's where I first heard of Dolemite. So that was like when I was like 16. I was like, what's Dolemite? What is that about? And I saw like I think there's a little clip of the movie in that movie, and I was like, oh, I got to see that one. That looks really cool too. So that's when I first heard of that. So years later, probably like, you know, 10 years later, I finally got a copy of Dolemite, and you know, that became one of my little favorites again. So it was,
And you
that's
mentioned
how
something that's important.
yeah, that's how
A lot of times the films were not available, even if you
yeah, they weren't available back then. I mean, even when I'd go to
they weren't available at the beginning of the VHS boom either.
yeah,
People
I mean because after they played in the theaters, of course there was there was VHS and stuff, but I mean I don't think they even like had a release on VHS.
Dolemite is a good one because that took a really long time to come to market. It really did.
But I mean, it's just interesting how, like, you know, over the years, like people have brought up those films. Like when I used to go to like rent movies, I never saw like Coffy on the shelf or, you know, like, you know what I mean? Or the Mac or anything like that, which is
it took time. It took time. Yeah.
Yeah, it did take time, which is interesting. So it's like almost like you're cut off from a whole, you know, like a whole genre of film because they're not carrying it in the stores and stuff. So it took years for me to see all that stuff. And then
not even the genre film, a cultural moment cut off from.
Culturally,
because this is Black history as well. So
we like
10 years of Black films,
right? And we lost, and you know, so throughout my, like, you know, when I was renting movies in the 80s and stuff, I didn't even know about any of those films. So it's like I missed that whole thing until like, you know, years later when I was like, you know, in the 90s or something. So it was just interesting how that happened, you know. But because they were so popular in the 70s.
Completely, and then all of a sudden they kind of disappeared. Where'd they all go?
Yeah, it's strange, but I'm just glad that I finally found those movies after all those years. But yeah, but so what are some of your favorites of the genre? Like, do you have like any ones that you like go back to often? Like you'll always like have this certain one that you'll rewatch every year, or, you know?
So
probably a lot of them.
But I try to avoid to overwatch them because of course I have them all. Yeah. Coffy, I love to go back to because of the history of me watching it in shock at 10 or 11 years old.
Right.
I always say this, I love that one the most. Yeah. Because the woman playing the Shaft role.
Is it Coffy you're saying? I didn't.
Yeah, Coffy.
Yeah, Coffy. Yeah.
So she's doing everything that they do. She's shotgun killing people.
Yeah.
Shooting people up. Balls.
She's really good.
Because it's like, oh, women work through the world differently. So she can pretend to be these different things and they think she's not threatening, whereas they would and was threatening. So it's a lot of fun.
It turns things on its head, like on, you know, like the whole, you know, tough, you know, guy like Shaft or something.
Yeah, it's like a woman can be just as tough.
But I also, like, you know, when I first watched Coffy, I was like, wow, who's this girl? Like, I didn't, you know, like when you first see it, you're just like, wow, you know, like, because Pam Grier, she's just so beautiful and stuff.
They call her Coffy, because if you jive her, she'll cream you.
This is the end of your rotten life.
Coffy, the baddest one-chick hit squad that ever hit town.
All your friends are dead. Why kill them all?
Coffy, she's got a body men would die for. And lately, a lot of them have. Coffy's black. Coffee's hot, and sometimes as sweet as sugar.
I know what you want to, and you're gonna get it.
Coffy, always where the action is. A mean kind of super chick who don't take nothing off of nobody.
You want me to crawl? You want to spit on me and make me crawl?
See Coffy, rated R, under 17, not admitted without a parent. Look out, Harlem. Here comes Coffy, the godmother of them all.
But I mean, I think a lot of things, like we remember her like shooting her shotgun and like, you know, going, you know, crazy and stuff. But there was a real sweetness to her too. That, you know what I mean? Like when you're watching the movie, she's doing it all because she loves her sister and stuff. And you know, we kind of, I think that came through. That's partly probably why we love Pam Grier so much, because that sweetness of hers, like that real, like the real life thing came through too, which I thought was great. And then Foxy Brown,
the director of Coffy,
yeah, I mean,
writer and director, by the way, he wrote it. He talked about what Pam brought. He said it was a realness and a naturalness that he was not capable of writing about. She had to just make that happen.
That was just herself.
Yeah, and she rewrote a couple of the scenes because she said, no, this is how a Black woman who's 5 living in the ghetto would act.
And she also had that. She did have a vulnerability too. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's the word.
She was, you know what I mean? She was.
Happened to her, even though she's toting a shotgun.
Yeah.
Don't boo. I like her.
You know, she's like, you know, you can really see that in that role, because she's doing what she's doing like out of like real love, you know, in her heart. She's not doing it because she wants to, you know what I mean? It's like she's like so driven by like, well, I mean, she's trying to get revenge and everything, but it's just it's almost like she's kind of like a lost little girl, like at the same time trying to, you know what I mean? Like she doesn't know what she's doing, like type thing. I don't know. There's just a lot of
revenge. I say she's trying to get revenge. She's trying to get justice.
Right. I mean, she's just, you know, it's one of my favorite.
Way with this.
Although I have to say, out of those two movies, I actually kind of like Foxy Brown a little bit more now for some reason. I don't know why, but I mean, it's just, I don't know if it's just the way it plays, or it's almost like a more streamlined version of Coffy or something. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like brighter or something. I don't know, because Coffy is kind of like a dark movie, like, you know, even like, you know, visually. But when I watch Foxy Brown, I don't know why. I just kind of like it a little bit more for some reason now. Like I'll rewatch that one more than Coffy for some reason. I don't know why.
Jack, he was this too. Jack and I liked the first one, but he said Foxy Brown has traveled farther than he ever thought it would. Yeah. That was a sequel to Coffy. It was going to be called Coffy, Burn
Coffy Burn. Yeah, I remember reading that. Yeah,
because they did some research that said that sequels aren't working out, so let's just change the title and do the same film. Right. And he's Foxy Brown travels more because there's more costume changes, because it is more.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because it's, you know, in Coffy she just wears one dress. It's very.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, she's not. Yeah, I mean, like in Foxy, it's almost like a fashion show. Like every scene she's wearing something new.
And the violence, and the sexiness, and the soundtrack. So
it was just
a bit more. There's a lot more going on in Foxy Brown, but I'm going to go with the more primitive Coffy.
Okay, well that's good. I mean, I love both of them. I do love both. But speaking of great fashions, I have to say, for me, Willie Dynamite gets the most flamboyant. Yeah, that's the most flamboyant wardrobe in a Blaxploitation film, I think.
Insanity.
I mean, every scene he's wearing like this crazy, like bright green, purple, and like one he's wearing like a gold, like shiny gold suit, and one just like all types of crazy stuff. I just love that.
It's a lot of fun. You can just look at the poster and see.
Yeah,
that's a
big huge fur coat.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
He's cool, hot, and mean, exploding through town like black dynamite. He's got only one dream.
I aim to be #1.
Willie Dynamite. You better listen to him.
I catch you messing around with my women, I'll cut you down.
He's the dude men envy and women never forget.
This is a business, baby. A production line.
Chicks, chums, he uses them all. He's Dynamite.
Willie don't, man. Hey,
Willie Dynamite. He's gotta be #1. Willie Dynamite, new from Universal, rated R, under 17, not admitted without a parent. It's Dynamite. Now, baby, at your local theater.
I love all that stuff.
Rabbit fur was the trend then, which is so.
Yeah. What was it? Lamb fur?
What'd you say?
That was, what type of fur was it?
Rabbit fur. Do you remember rabbit? Yeah. So
rabbit
gross,
fur.
Used to have
That's funny.
Rabbit fur on coats.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, we love all this. Then another thing I was going to ask you about. There's these 3 films that I mean, I guess they're considered Blaxploitation, but I always thought they were like sort of, they were like not. I mean, they kind of are, but they're like almost like half and half. Like they were across 110th Street, Detroit 9000, and Trick Baby. Now, Trick Baby is one of my most favorites of like from the 70s. But I don't know if it's like is that considered blaxploitation though? Because it's like
yes. So it is only in the sense that they were promoted and marketed and presented alongside the other blaxploitation films. But I get what you're saying.
They weren't quite, like the main characters, like Anthony Quinn is like kind of like the main character of across in Yaphet Kotto, but it's like it's not like it's like Shaft or something. It's like kind of like half and half.
Story, yeah.
It's like almost like a detective movie with like the black characters. So and then Detroit 9000 is sort of the same idea. It's like Alex Rocco and and I forget the others, and Vanetta McGee is in it, but it's not like a straight up, you know what I mean, blaxploitation. So yeah.
So I would say that those are films that are embraced by crime film fans, but also fully embraced by the blaxploitation.
And that, also, I had to bring up Blackula because that's one of my most favorites too. We did like a little interview on that, but that's as far as the horror genre goes, that's probably my number one. That is my number one favorite film of the blaxploitation horror films. Because I just think William Marshall, like we always bring up the Shakespearean quality of him. And I really think he elevated those movies so much because, say if someone else had played that character, they might have played it just kind of hokey and kind of, not totally serious, but he almost played it so serious. It's just like, he did such a great job with it. And it really made those movies better than they might've been with, someone else, I think.
I'm in agreement. That's the favorite of all of the blaxploitation horror.
And I love them.
Seriously, he did rewrite the script and change things.
Oh, he rewrote the script? Okay, I didn't.
Yeah, he wrote. So in the original script of Blackula, he was a kind of a bumbling black man who. Okay,
so that's sort of what I was trying to get at.
He said, "No, this needs to be this person
serious
level of Count Dracula.
Right.
He needs to be the king of a black African country."
Right. That just makes. That made it so much better, I think. I mean, you watch it now. I mean, it holds up, I think, really well.
I'm going to disagree with you there, Pete.
You don't?
It has many merits. It is very homophobic.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The language is very from a time past that is displeasing and discomforting.
Yeah.
Fag is used again and again. Gay people fun of.
Right. I can't forget about those.
That pulls me out. It makes me unhappy about a film that I want to like.
Right. And what about the sequel? I do like the sequel. Do you like the sequel, Scream Blackula Scream?
Very much. Yeah, very much.
That's a good one. And that has Pam in it also. We can't forget.
She was on contract.
So she was really good. That was AIP, I think. AIP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love they're both really good. And I love what I love in those movies is the other than like the movies themselves is the credits, opening credit sequences, the animation. I just love the second one doesn't have a lot of animation. It's more just like like a one picture, I think, of Blackula's face. But the first one has that cool, like kind of animation with the little, it's like almost like a little ink blots, like, with the little,
you remember right?
I don't know. I just love that. It's different. Like if you watch some other movie, like you don't see that really, that type of like animation style. I just love that. I thought that was really cool.
Undercovered, element of the films is that they have great intros. The Foxy Brown,
and the Foxy Brown is really good too.
Is a beautiful one.
That cool animation when she's dancing, and I love that. It just sets the tone. Like you're like, oh, this is going to be awesome when you see that.
It completely brings you in. It's like I'm ready for this film now.
This is great. We also have to mention Sid Haig, who shows up in both of those movies. he became sort of famous after all that, the Rob Zombie movies and stuff. People didn't.
Yeah, he was a Jack Hill favorite, Director Jack Hill's favorite. And he was in Spider Baby in the 60s.
And he showed up in Jackie Brown, I guess, because just to have like a little Jack Hill. Well, Jack Hill wasn't in it, but I think there was some references to those movies, like in that movie, like their names are on like the apartment building, the Jack Hill and Sid Haig or something like that. Yeah.
If you and I were filmmakers, we would be doing that too.
All those little references,
those are the details for those who are in the know.
And it was funny, like to have, and then Sid Haig is playing the judge and Jackie Brown. I thought that was kind of a funny thing. He's the judge in the movie when he always plays like these seedy characters and stuff. That was cool.
Agreed.
Yeah. And what's another good movie that we love? Truck Turner. That's another one that we love.
Love Chuck Turner and Isaac Hayes.
Isaac Hayes.
A couple of those films. And somebody asked me, did the studios want him to make the films?
Yeah.
And no, they didn't. They wanted the soundtrack because he had already won an Oscar and a Grammy for the Shaft soundtrack. So he said, "Oh, well, I'll make a soundtrack for your new Blaxploitation film, but I have to be the star."
That was how he did it. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing to do. He's like, I want to be in the movie.
Yeah, I want to be a star too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. He did some awesome soundtracks too.
And he's also kind of fun in the film.
He is good. He's good in that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's better than you think he's going to be.
And he went on to be in Escape from New York. Remember, he plays the main baddie in there. Yeah, that was a good one. And then you know what movie I saw some of it, but you know the one that they did like years later. It was like a reunion movie. It was what was it called? Original Gangsters. Yeah, no, Original Gangsters. You know that one? Oh, yeah. I never really saw the whole thing, so I have to revisit that one just to like see what it was. You know, it was just sort of like I think it was Pam, Fred, and Jim Brown, and all those guys. So I'll have to rewatch that. But
it's not the greatest, but it is a little reference point.
It was a fun little kind of like a reunion of all those big characters.
We should talk about the films that we didn't like the most. So
that's a good one. That's a good idea. Yeah.
So my clinker, and it's so bad that I do go back to it all the time. It's a film called Guy from Harlem. Have you ever seen it?
It was so low budget, right? It was just so like cheaply made and like
I think I saw some of it.
I think
the title of Guy from Harlem. What?
Yeah. The Guy from Harlem. It's just so basic
really
and
fun one.
It's so generic, like the Guy from Harlem.
And so is the film. It's flat line readings. It's It's
really bland.
Not corrected. I love that one. But I want to hear about your favorite.
I'm trying to think of like the one that like it would probably like I remember watching Blackenstein and it was just so like it was just
that's a really dark one. The lighting.
That's exactly what it was. It was so dark I couldn't see Blackenstein coming at the people. You just like see like sort of like a little bit of light off the top of it was just terrible. And like I remember like, you know, if Blackenstein is walking like, you know, if it takes him like a half an hour to get like across the parking lot, why are people like getting attacked by the guy? Because he's like, you know, he's like it's like it's watching a steam.
He's got a limp. He can't walk fast.
Yeah, it's like watching a steamroller coming at you and just standing there and like going like, you know, just looking at it for an hour. It just makes no sense. So I didn't really care for that one. I mean, there's been a few of them that are like. Then there's other ones that have some good stuff in them, but I'm not like the biggest fan. Like I think like Brotherhood of Death. That was the one about the Vietnam vets that like, you know, go. I don't know if they like dress up like the KKK or something like that, but it's you know, the movie itself was just sort of like it just wasn't made that great. It was just I don't know.
It's also very distasteful.
It was sort of distasteful. I don't know, but like you know, there's been a few here and there, and then. I'm trying to think of some other ones. I mean, like even like Rudy Ray Moore, some of his aren't, you know, like I did like The Human Tornado, but then like maybe like P.D. Wheatstraw, that one wasn't so great. But I you know what
Disco Godfather is pretty bad.
I love Disco Godfather. Yeah, that's the one I like.
That one. Okay.
That's a fun one. Yeah, that's a good one. Attack the Whack or Whack the Attack. Remember that? That little thing with I think it was Carrie. I thought that was funny. Whack the Attack. Yeah, I mean, there's you know, most of the ones I've seen I really like a lot, so which is good.
We haven't talked about one of the controversial things that I always talk about is the use of the N-word.
Yeah, right. But
not only in the films, we know that that's how people talk behind closed doors, but in the title of the films.
In what of the films?
The films have the N-word in the title.
Oh yeah, boss N-word. Yeah, I don't even want to say it. Yeah,
Charlie.
But see, when I watched, but then I watched an interview with Fred Williamson. He totally did it on purpose because he just wanted to, you know, make a splash. You know what I mean? With the so it's like, but like when I watched that movie, Boss N, like, you know, I just didn't, you know, it's just part. It's almost like when you watch Django Unchained, it's just part of the thing, and you know what it is, and we all know it's a bad word. But like, I'm not watching it because of that. I'm watching it because I love, you know, the Western adventure movie, you know what I mean, type thing. So it's not, you know what I mean? I think
one of the things that I see a lot of people when I speak to students and stuff is that they are just appalled because times have changed so much in 50 years.
When they see that word or something, I don't know.
Yeah, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to.
They don't want to see it, or
they don't want to hear me saying it.
But at the same time, don't you think it's almost like a thing where we're taught to like, you know, like you just want to block everything out, block everything that's bad out. And I think that's not good for us to do. That's sort of why we have a lot of problems in America, because everybody's just like, okay, let's just ignore that. Let's block it out. Let's pretend it didn't happen. We really should shed light on everything, just so we can all, you know what I mean? Just so we can all see it, put the light on the wound, let everybody see it. It's going to be tough. It's going to hurt, but we should all do that just because I think it's a healthy thing to do. It's healthier in the long run, I think. You know, that's just what I think. But
I have opinions about.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's amazing that, and I would say this: it's amazing. Not just they would title that imagine like, movies go out to 3,000 theaters across just our country
right now. If they did that would be pretty messed up.
On the theater marquees as you drove by to the supermarket.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it would just be like, what was it like back then? Like, did you were probably too young to see that? Okay.
And here we go. And this is why life is so complicated.
Okay.
Being a Black person,
right?
We thought it was cool.
You thought seeing the boss N was cool?
Yeah, because it was our language. You know, that's how people speak behind closed doors again. But we were like, wow, they're really going there.
So it was almost like
I have changed my mind, just so on record, I've changed my mind about the usefulness of that. But I certainly get it as a marketing tool. I certainly get it as a product of the times in which the films were made.
And also, I should say, I think another thing about it was Fred Williamson was kind of taking back the power. Okay, you're going to call us N. I'm going to put it right on the thing, and I'm going to make millions of dollars off that for myself.
So that's the idea.
You know what I mean? That type of thing. So there's that aspect too. You know what I mean? And we can all understand that too. That's like the same thing what we were talking about earlier with the, you're trying to fight the way out, and you're trying to, make the best life you can, and you're using all your tools to do that. And that's basically what he did. So yeah.
And so it's amazing though, because some of them are Paramount.
Okay.
So this one wasn't the small little startups.
Yeah, like Paramount. That's like a major studio.
Major studio saying, okay, if you are comfortable with this, we are.
Right, and then there was the Legend of N. Charlie, and then what was the other one? There's
a few more. There's Boss N.
Yeah.
There's N Lover.
Yeah. And I can't remember.
Just like, did they really say there was one called Run and Run?
Right. Yeah, that's right. Right. And then there was like Super Spook or something like that. Like that's sort of like another racial word, but
spooky.
Just all these different things. But yeah, I mean, you can see like they were kind of like playing. They were just using the words to get some attention, basically. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing.
And here we go. Blaxploitation is a take on exploitation. It's just exploiting. Getting a market for yourself, getting people to look. Well, that's how we do.
But I mean,
I'm not so sure that it's there's good in it, but I will say that it happened because the Black people embraced it and said, yes, you can do that. So Black people aren't going to name a film with the N-word in it unless it was mentioned by African Americans.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
So we let it go and we said,
right. It's just interesting, like I can just completely understand that too. So, but it's just one of those things like you don't know how to feel about it type thing. You know what I mean? Like you see the thing and like, am I supposed to be like rooting for this or and you don't want to say it, of course, and then
it doesn't bother me so.
Yeah, as a white person, I'm not going to be like saying, "Oh yeah, did you see Boss N?" It's just
yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
you can also twist it around, Pete, if we want to go. Would there be a movie called J Lover for other cultures? I mean, I'm not sure.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just weird. I don't know. Then remember Honky? There was that movie Honky. I don't think I didn't see that one though.
Oh, Pete, you gotta see that. It's so good. That's a good one.
It's like the two. Yeah, I remember. It's like an interracial love story.
It's an interracial love story, but it's not the white boy that's corrupting. It's the Black girl.
Oh man, I got to see that one.
So it's very modern.
That sounds good. Modern. Yeah, that sounds good. I'd like to see that one. I have to find a copy. I mean, I think a lot of this stuff is on these days. It's online, luckily, so you can search it out.
Wonderful. Yeah, you have a library online.
Streaming all this stuff, which is really good. Now, do you have like any Blu-ray picks like that you'd tell people to like pick up or anything, or
as far as the film goes, I would just go with the classics.
Yeah,
ones that we talk about: Coffy, Foxy Brown, Superfly as introductions.
Truck Turner. Yeah.
Of course.
It's all different. I mean, there's a lot of
horror film.
Yeah.
One of the horror films. Dr. Black, Mr. Hyde is a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, you know what movie needs a good? I don't think they've released it on Blu-ray, have they? Or is it Abby? Abby? Is Abby on?
I'm not so sure about the Blu-ray releases.
Yeah.
DVD man. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think there's like but I've only seen Abby like in a really terrible quality, transfer. It's like always like really like fuzzy, and just terrible.
Yeah, they don't have a good print of that one.
I wish they would get like a really awesome print of that movie.
What do you think of Abby, Pete? What do you think of The Black Exorcist, Abby?
Yeah, I mean, I really do like that movie, but I haven't seen it like that many times compared to Blackula. I watch Blackula like every year, or more. But Abby, I haven't seen as much, but I did like it. I thought Carol Speed was good in it. I don't know about some of the like the makeup stuff in it. That was kind of weird, but I'd like to see like a real good print of it, just so I could see like if it holds up good or if it looks really.
What they meant for us to see. Yeah.
But I mean, it's
levitation scene in that.
It's just like a rip off of The Exorcist, basically.
Yeah, scene for scene, it's a rip off.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things, but I don't know. But I mean, as far as the horror ones, Blackula is definitely my favorite. I just love that one.
And you've seen Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde? Yes or no?
I saw it once. I didn't see. I don't know enough about it to like really to rate it because I just seen it once, so I don't remember loving it. I think I liked it, but I didn't love it as much as Blackula. But
a lot of people talk about Ganja and Hess. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I do. I have seen that one, and that's almost like another movie where it's like an art film, more so than a, you know what I mean? Like it's not like Blackula. It's like almost like a art house version of the vampire story. And it's not like real. They're not like vampires. It's almost like a story of like vampires, like a metaphor for vampirism or something. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing.
Yeah, that one was critically praised and it won the Cannes Film Festival Award, but it's way too intellectual.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It doesn't have entertainment as its main. It's
very much art, like a very artsy film. Like
yeah.
But they did try to market it as like a real blaxploitation film, I guess. They like cut it and stuff, and they shortened it and stuff. But it didn't. I probably didn't work very well. It was called. Was it called Blood Obsession or?
Yeah, they had a couple different posters for that one. I agree with you. It's one that I love, but it's it's entertaining.
It's just not like the usual. It's not like the usual type of like vampire film. If you watch it, you'll be like, oh, this is more like art house. Kind of surreal, weird, and I mean that type of thing.
Yeah,
but I did like it though. I did like it. I liked it for its own qualities, not because it was. I liked that it kind of like was doing its own thing and it was trying to break away out of the the blaxploitation genre stuff. It was kind of going its own way. But then it was a good thing to see. Was it Dwayne Jones and
yes.
Marlene Clark? Dwayne Jones, people will know from Night of the Living Dead, and
yes, Marlene Clark from. She's in that Circuit Woman film that I love.
She's in tons of stuff. Yeah, she was in a Cobra Woman. She was in Enter the.
That's the one.
She plays like John Saxon's little secretary in Enter the Dragon.
Yes.
Yeah, she was really good. I liked her. Yeah,
she's also lovely to look at. What a wonderful,
very very beautiful girl. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And Vonetta McGee was another one. She was. Oh, you know what movie I wanted to bring up was Thomasine and Bushrod. Did you ever see that one?
Of course.
I love that one. That's one of my favorites. And that's sort of like a Bonnie and Clyde in the West type story.
Exactly.
And also with Max Julian, one of our favorites.
It's really great because that's one of the being someone who grew up in the suburbs, like we hadn't really seen black people in the West.
Yeah. I mean, that must have been weird to see too.
We were wearing those hats and riding those horses.
Yeah. It was just a cool story. Yeah, it was. It was sort of like, they're sort of like Bonnie and Clyde, I guess. I can't remember like their
that was the idea.
That was really, and like you'd see, and wasn't oh yeah, we forgot about JD's Revenge. That's another good little horror, like kind of a horror movie with the possessed.
It's not one of my favorites, but
Glenn Turman. Yeah,
Turman is insanely good.
Yeah, I mean he's really good at going kind of crazy in that movie, playing possessed by a killer pimp or something.
Have you seen Top of the Heap, Pete?
I don't think I've seen Top of the Heap, but I remember. Didn't you write a review of that on the site? Yeah.
So
yeah. What was that? What was Top of the Heap? What was that one about?
Directed, produced, starring James St. Jacques or one of those people.
Yeah, I think that's right. And what was that? What was like the story about?
The story is one of the very few of him having a fantasy life, and we get to see go to the moon. And
oh yeah. I think I remember seeing little clips of it, but yeah,
it's really it's arty, but it's entertainment art.
Right. And did you like Super Dude? I can't remember if you liked that one a lot or not. Super Dude.
Love it. Totally love it.
Yeah.
What about you?
I watched it, but I mean, I liked it, but I didn't like love it. I don't know. Maybe I didn't see. I should watch it again, but I love the poster for it though. That's an awesome poster. Yeah, it's really cool.
Trouble Man, Pete. What do you like?
Trouble Man. Yeah, I rewatched that. I had watched it once and I didn't really remember much from it. Then I rewatched it again, like probably like a year ago, and I really liked it. I thought it was excellent. I loved the soundtrack too. Yeah, that was excellent. It's really good. Sometimes
I play that soundtrack all the time.
Because you'll sometimes I'll have this thing like where I'll watch movies and like I'll misremember like what I like saw in them. Like if it, I got mixed up like if it's the same movie or not. But I remember like I watched Trouble Man. I was like, that wasn't so great. Then I rewatched and I was like, what did I miss in this? This is awesome. I just loved it the second time I watched it. I must have missed it or fell asleep or something the first time. But I watched it again and I really liked it a lot. And of course,
we haven't talked about the Blaxploitation comedies, which is
like Uptown Saturday Night and like Monkey Hustle and all those. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I haven't
seen Harlem. Cotton Comes to Harlem.
Yeah. Cotton Comes to Harlem. Yeah. I haven't watched those as much as like the other ones. I've probably watched them once or twice, but I mean, I'm not as well versed in those ones as the other.
What about Amazing Grace? Have you seen that?
I don't think that's Mom's Mabley. I haven't seen that one. I've seen like
that's an insane one. Really good.
I should watch that one. I haven't I've seen all the posters, of course, and probably like the trailers, but I haven't watched all the movies yet. So, but I remember the Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier films, those were popular. Uptown
a little hole in there, yeah.
Yeah, those were good. But it's been like years since I've watched those. But I'm trying to think if there's any other little things that we've missed that we should.
So we haven't talked about the Blaxploitation karate films,
like Black Belt
Jones.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's one of my favorites. But then there was also. Did you ever see Hot Potato?
I love Hot Potato.
That's such a weird. It's such a weird movie though, because it's not like it's so offbeat and straight. It's like a little weird comedy, because I guess they'd put that on double bills with Enter the Dragon, but like if you watch both of them back to back, you're gonna say, what the hell is Hot Potato doing with Enter the Dragon? It just doesn't make sense. It's just weird.
The kooky characters.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Not deep or.
And I didn't understand is Jim Kelly playing Black Belt Jones or is it just another guy? Another character.
Of course he is. He's always playing Black Belt Jones.
Yeah, but it's just weird. I didn't get it. And then what's his face is in it? George Mamoli. Is that it's something like he plays the White Rhino or something like that. He's just like eating food and stuff. Yeah.
He's tearing up scenes.
It was just a weird freaking movie. But it's like it's just weird to watch those types of things. It's like where the hell what was the guy smoking when he wrote the script to this film? I think it was Oscar Wilde.
With those films, and in particular Hot Potato, Jim Brown Jim Kelly, sorry.
Yeah.
Jim just wanted 5 scenes that he could choreograph fight scenes.
So it didn't even matter.
So he said, "You write whatever you write. I'm going to do the film for these 5." Funny.
And he was in a bunch of
Yeah, he was into the karate thing, and he said,
He did Black Samurai. He did some of those movies. A few of them I haven't seen yet, like Death Dimension. I don't think I've seen that one.
You should say there's only really 5, and he's one of the few black real stars.
Yeah, he was really good.
You should see them for reference.
And I forgot about 3 the Hard Way. That's a good one too.
That's a good one. Where you got the 3 of them in there.
Yeah. Jim Brown, Fred Williamson, and Jim Kelly. Yeah, and I thought it was funny that his name is Mister in the movie. It's not like Mr. something Keys. It's Mister is like the actual name.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I love the soundtrack of that one too. With I think is it the Impressions? I think so.
I want to say it is, but I'm
Impressions. I think sing the main thing. Yeah, but that was a really good one where they team up and they fight against some guy that's trying to poison the water, like that just kills black people. It's just poison. That was really good.
Yeah,
synopsis. But there's so many of these movies that we love. So. And we love
What about the Blaxploitation musicals, some ones that are centered on either show business stories or music?
I'm trying to think. Would it be like Darktown Strutters or something? Yeah, Darktown Strutters, maybe. That was a really weird movie too, but it was fun though.
Outrageous.
With all the weird, like the girls are driving around on those trike bikes,
in those LaBelle costumes.
Those weird, those. Is that what it was, LaBelle?
It looks like LaBelle.
Yeah, they're like feathers and stuff. Yeah, and they had all these weird, it was almost like a cartoon, like watching a cartoon, live action cartoon.
It's cartoony, yeah.
Very cartoon. But
whatever that group is singing from behind jail bars.
Yeah. What's a Blaxploit? Like, what musicals are you like which type ones are you referencing?
So I don't think they do that well, but Sparkle is the one everybody references because it was remade, with Whitney Houston right before.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one. I've heard of it.
That's your business story, the Supreme story retold.
Yeah. Okay.
But, that's a good. That's a.
I'll have to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And what's another one that
Well, the big bomb, which was The Wiz.
Oh yeah, The Wiz. Yeah, that was that was Sidney Lumet directed that, right?
Yes, a dark film with somebody too old to play a teenage girl. Yeah. Really bad decision making.
And Ease on Down the Road.
And you've got the great Michael Jackson in a film role, but he's even weak in that.
So who was it? Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, and was Richard Pryor in that?
Nipsey Russell and Richard.
Yeah.
All of the black talent of the day.
That was good.
For a good cause, right? We love The Wiz, but we don't love The Wiz the movie.
Yeah, right. God, that's funny. But I mean, all these movies are it's just great to have them like to go back to. That's, it's just, they really are part of such an important part of history of the cinema.
They really are. And that's really what it is about, Pete. It's about just not the films and them being low budget or being exploitation films. It's Black history. It's American history. It's African American history.
And we're in another
we were the stars of our own productions the first time.
And another thing I was thinking was like, for even both of us just coming from like sort of like not from like certain areas where you would see
the suburbs, on the plain suburbs.
Yeah. So experiencing different culture, that was another aspect of why I like these movies too, because I was like, oh wow, what is this about? And it was like seeing a new part of the country, or part of like of just American culture that you never experienced before, and that was like it just piqued your interest. You know what I mean? You wanted to find out about it.
Crime culture.
Yeah, crime culture, or But I mean, but once you got past all that stuff, like the genre stuff, and like you saw the people, like just these people trying to deal with their situations, then you're connecting on like a human level. It's not like it doesn't have to do with black or white or Asian. Yeah, it's very much like
they're struggling with substance abuse, but they're just like
it could be. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter what color you are if you just understand certain things like that. So
the human condition, yeah.
Right, the human condition. So it was just very much that for me.
Peaks and valleys of the genre. We covered the westerns and the musicals, the karate films.
Yeah, we did the horror.
Film?
Yeah.
What about the Blaxploitation family films?
The black what films?
On the black side. 5 on the black hand
side.
5
on the black hand side. Oh yeah. Then there was also Cornbread Earl and Me.
Yes.
I saw that one. And then like Young Blood, I think was another one. Yeah.
Young Blood is a good one.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And
how did they hold up to you, the family films?
I did like some of them. I probably didn't like. Oh yeah, we also mentioned Cooley High. That was a good one. Like kind of like the teenage. I think it took place in the 60s or something like.
It's a Black American graffiti.
It was a good. Yeah, this is a good way to describe it. I like that one a lot. But there was what was the other one? A Hero Ain't Nothing But a Sandwich. I think it was called.
You got the title right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I did like all those, but of course I probably didn't. I probably still gravitate towards like the wilder crime films and stuff like like I'll rewatch Willie Dynamite like every 6 months or something because I just love that. I just love the character and the whole that whole world of the pimps and stuff, and just I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. It's like all these movies are like comfort movies for me for some reason. I don't know. They just make me feel good for some reason. I don't know.
Well, that particular one, that's also a costume drama.
Yeah,
very much. Costumes. They're not wearing clothes.
He's always wearing like all these crazy, flamboyant costumes and stuff. And and Diana Sands was in it, who I thought was really good. She was. You probably saw a Raisin in the Sun. I thought she was really good in that one.
Oh, she's really good.
That's excellent.
She's so good. Sometimes you think she's good for this movie.
There's some movies of hers that I wanted to see. I think it was called like Georgia or something like that. But
got it.
There was a few of them I still want to catch up and see, but I don't know if you've seen those. But
yeah, so Georgia is good, and it's a drama, and it's interesting because that's her last film. She passes away months after the filming, before the film comes out.
Oh yeah,
she sees that one, but that's a good one, Georgia.
Yeah, I got to see that one, and then there's all those those little lower budget ones that I haven't seen as much, like The Guy from Harlem. I don't even know if I don't think I've seen that one. I think I saw part of it.
The trailer on YouTube after.
I saw a little bit of it. Yeah, but it's just like, because like I'll read like your reviews of them of like certain movies, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like rush to see that one, but
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And again, we're saying something behind closed doors. A lot of them aren't that great.
Yeah.
There's 200. They can't all be good because of the bits mostly.
That's just
some are. So just explore.
That's what you got to do. It's just like, you start out with like, whenever I'm exploring genres, like I always start out with like the very most popular films. Then like, then after a while, you'll kind of like, find the little ones that you haven't, that aren't as popular, and you'll look at those and that type of thing. But, we gave a good overview. Yeah. We gave a good overview of like, I think the basics of what to start with and, the ones we like. So that's a good starting point.
I think so. And then also everyone listening should know that, these were, many of the films were directed by Black people for the first time.
Gordon Parks and
directors in the early 70s, So
Gordon
it's
Parks Jr. Yeah.
Yeah. And Superfly is by, I can't remember.
Gordon Parks Jr. Yep.
Yeah, that's Gordon Parks Jr. Right. Gordon Parks. Yeah.
Oscar Williams, I think, directed Black Belt Jones.
Michael Schultz does 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think who directed the Mac. What was his name? Can't remember the guy's name. I'm drawing a blank on that one, but but I mean, most of a good amount of them were directed by Black directors, but then some of like Jack Hill, like he directed like some of the most popular ones, Coffy and Fox Brown, and we love those. Yeah,
he's a great guy. I've ever spoken to him. Such a nice, humble guy.
Yeah, and I love his other movies like Switchblade Sisters. You probably
of course.
Yeah, that's awesome.
75.
Yeah, we love those.
I think we covered it all. We talked about all of the genres. We talked about the Black participation behind the scenes.
Yep.
Coffy, as people may know, was the very first film in America made that used a Black female stunt double.
We also forgot about Cleopatra Jones. Well, we did talk about Casino of Gold, but that was another great.
That's not my favorite. I understand that you love it. Tell me about what you like about it.
The which one? The Cleopatra Jones and the Casino of Gold. That was the first one. I like Tamara Dobson's, performance, like, as like, she's like another tough girl in that movie. Like, I think she's like a spy or, like a special agent. Like a special agent type character. And I just, I don't know if I like the second one more. I think the second one is probably even more action packed than the first one. The first one is a little bit kind of like with Shelley Winters as mommy. She's sort of, that stuff is a little bit over the top and a little bit kind of, comes a
Shelley Winters. We love Shelley Winters.
Yeah, I mean, I do like Shelley Winters a lot, but she was just so like, she was just like really like playing it big on that.
Tearing up the scenes.
She was tearing up the scenes. If you watch that movie, she's like, oh my, you're sitting at home watching it going, Shelley, take it down a notch, please. Jesus. That type of thing.
But when you hire Shelley, that's what you get.
But she was
winner, by the way.
She was great. Like I love her in the Poseidon Adventure. You've probably seen that one.
Yes,
I love that one.
Of course.
As Belle Rosen.
You even know the name. Yeah, she's so
I've watched that one so many times.
She's a real person, that's what she brings. That's
she was a real
person in the world.
She was really good. She had a good sense of humor and stuff about those movies.
Aware of her weight, and she's written to the part.
Yeah. And it's funny how it's not funny, but in all those early movies that she did, like she'd always die like in the water. Like if you ever watch like Night of the Hunter, they throw her in the water. And then if you watch A Place in the Sun, right in the water again. It's like she dies in the water. Then Poseidon Adventure in the water.
Here's your water scene.
What the hell was going on? Yeah. But she was good. Oh, we had to bring up Maya Cade's Black Film Archive, which is that. Did you go through that yet? That website, the Black Film Archive.
Yes, of course I have. Yes,
I mean that's. We got to mention that just because people should, if they want to go to our site, Grindhouse Database, and like look through all those reviews. But I mean that site's really like that'll cover a lot more probably than what we have on our site with all the different
in this particular genre,
all the different errors and stuff.
Yeah,
I got to go through that myself.
So many websites. It's so what's wonderful about the internet. You have the library in your hand.
Right. Yeah. Right. So I mean, I got to go through that site myself and look through it more because there's probably a lot of movies that I want to check out. This is off topic, but I just watched Melvin Van Peebles' Story of a 3-Day Pass. Did you ever see that one?
I have.
And I really like that one because it's almost like we were talking about how Sweetback is sort of like I referenced Fellini. Well, if you watch 3 Day Pass, it's sort of like a Godard movie. If you watch that one, you know what I mean? I just really liked how he did that. It was just really good.
And the story is an interracial love story?
Yeah, interracial love story. And that was a good one too.
Got it.
I really like that one.
Yeah, that one's always praised. It's not so much blaxploitation, right? Because it's
no, that wasn't Blaxploitation. Yeah, that was
really good drama.
It's like if you watch like a Jean-Luc Godard like Breathless, and then you watch the story of a 3 Day Pass, you're like, oh, this is cool. This is like he's doing like his version of like the Godard movie. It's just kind of black and white. It's very like lots of cool cutting, editing, and stuff. That's another one I'd recommend.
Who's the young man in that one?
I can't remember. It's like something
see later.
Baird, Harry Baird, or something like that. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was good in it. I liked him, and I don't remember seeing him in any other movies really.
Got it. I think I remember seeing him again. I think that's the guy. Yeah. From
that movie. Yeah, maybe he showed up in some other movies, but like I just didn't recognize him or something. But
he
had like a cool like he didn't like. He just sounded differently. Like he just had like his own unique like personality. I just liked that character, that guy.
Agreed.
Yeah, it was good. And I don't remember the name of the girl in the movie though. Yeah,
that's an talked about one. That's a good one. Story of a 3 Day Pass.
And I think Criterion just released Melvin Van Peebles his early movies, so that's one of the ones in there. And then there's like The Learning Tree is in there, and Sweetback and Watermelon Man. That's another really good one. Watermelon Man.
We haven't talked about the blaxploitation quote unquote homage films.
Oh yeah, like maybe like Jackie Brown or I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Yeah, that's probably like I think I probably saw that.
Dolemite is my name. What do you think about them?
I did. What was the one you just said? I didn't hear you.
Dolemite is my name.
Oh yeah, Dolemite is my name. That was good. I like that one. That was a cool like kind of little biopic of Rudy Ray Moore. I like that one. That was cool. And Eddie Murphy and all this. I thought that was fun. Yeah, that was good. And I think I'm Gonna Get You Sucker was probably the first film I saw that that sort of like reference. I don't even think when I saw that one I knew exactly what blaxploitation was. I think I just like watched. I was like, this guy's kind of playing like a. I didn't really know like the references at that time. When I was a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
But I did like it though. I thought it was a funny little movie. I'm Gonna Get You Sucker with Keenan Ivory Wayans and yeah, that was a good one. But what's another homage movie like you could talk about? Like, would it be like Pootie Tang or something? I don't know. Yeah, Pootie Tang.
Well, we could talk about the Black Klansman.
The Black Klansman. Yeah, I guess that was too. And there was. Did you probably know there was a Black Klansman from like 1968 or something like that?
Yes.
And Max Julien was in that one. It was like, was it the same type of story? Like the black guy, he's like half black, half white, and he like goes undercover or something. I can't remember the story of.
I don't remember the story.
Something like that.
First one, but we certainly remember the second one with Spike Lee.
That was a very good movie. I like that one.
Very
that was very good. Yeah, that was definitely a better movie. But yeah, I really like that.
So much of this beat is about having money to make a good movie.
Right.
If you don't have, most blaxploitation films were made for $500,000.
Right.
So if someone messes up their lines, there's no more money to take another.
Someone messes up their line. And I also thought I thought it was interesting, like how the producers of Willie Dynamite, those were the guys that went on to do Jaws. So they like did like Willie Dynamite and they just thought it was going to be but I mean the production value is so good in that movie. You watch it and it's like everybody's dressed really great and the camera work is great and you know what I mean. But then it just shows you they were trying to like kind of
talking about people like Jonathan Kaplan who does
Truck Turner, right?
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Or I think it's the Accused.
Well, that was Jonathan Demme, you mean? But he did like
Accused. I'm sorry, but Jodie Foster.
Right. And those guys were, they all pretty much, all those guys started out in exploitation.
And they kept working.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Moved on.
Right. Getting better. And, they you can see like how, like, they all started out like, kind of like learning the craft as exploitation directors. And then like, as they went on, they started getting better and better, working for like the bigger studios and stuff.
What about Tanaka and his Penitentiary series?
Oh, I forgot about that. I love those movies. Those and like what's MMA? What was another good one?
Yes, MMA is a really good one. Nobody talks
really good. About. Black Sisters Revenge.
Retitled, yeah.
Welcome Home, Brother Charles, I think was the other one. Yeah.
Again, his film's a little arty too, more arty.
Yeah. And it's sort of coming from like they're almost like sort of like they're coming from like the West Coast like side.
Yes, there is a West Coast feel, and I don't know
Yeah.
why it should be, but there is.
They have that sort of like different flavor than like the East Coast, action, crime movies and stuff, which was really cool. I like those. I like.
Yeah, he was so great to talk to because he was just so appreciative.
You did that interview with him. And
Yeah, he was just like the inroads that he did. It was just so like, I can't believe I made these films, and that you want to talk about them and that you love them. Yeah, we love them.
Yeah, and I remember the first time I saw those, they were in a box set I bought. It was from Xenon. I think it was with like the same place that released the Dolemite movies, but all his movies were on there, like in DVDs. And I was like, oh wow, these are great. Yeah, I love those.
I remember that box set. Yeah,
those ones. Yeah, those were really good. So that's like when I first started like really getting into these. I was like kind of trying to watch all different kinds. Like, so I'd watch some of those, then I'd watch like some the East Coast ones, the West Coast ones, and just all that stuff. But
now, Peter,
I
are you
really like
somebody who will turn off a film if it's boring, or will you endure and see it to the end so that
I don't think I've ever really watched a Blaxploitation film and turned them off, but like I'll watch like a new movie and like that's coming out right now and turn it off because it's just really boring. Like, I was watching one the other night and I was just like, I can't sit through this whole thing. This is just stupid. But like most Blaxploitation films, I don't think I've ever really like just shut them off because I think I've liked almost all of them. So, which is, what I mean? It's funny.
Well, there's something in them, and it's not.
Yeah, it's just I'm just into the story. I'm into the characters or something. Even if it's
the filmmaking or like how they're doing it.
Yeah, but I mean, even if the filmmaking isn't so great, if I'm into the characters, which I usually am in those movies, like if I watched The Black Godfather, that's probably one of the lower quality ones. But even that one I liked, I think. And the Black
who sat by the door. We haven't mentioned that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one enough. I think I saw it once, and it was like a bad print, and I just couldn't I didn't really know what was going on. But then there's the Black Gestapo, and that's a really low budget one.
Yes,
I thought that was a really good one. I was just really into that story. I loved that the characters, the fighting against each other and stuff, and
that's a good one. I think I misspoke before. The Black Gestapo is a film with all of the Nazi imagery in it.
Yeah, and right. It's sort of like the fascist thing. Yeah.
In New York, they have that poster up, and I talked about. I'm not so cool with it. Not so cool with anything about that.
The fascist aspect, like the militant thing.
We get it, but I believe it's the only one that uses actual footage
of like the Nazis and stuff.
So,
yeah,
that's in the wrong film, boo. That's the wrong film here.
Yeah, it has that quality where it's a little bit sort of like distasteful, but I think this, sort of like the story of like the good guy fighting like the bad guy. It's just sort of like that part is good to me. Like, the fascist guy, basically what he's doing, he's just like, he's using like the power to like just to live like, live like Caligula or something. You know what I mean? He's not doing it for any real reason. He's just doing it just to like, have power. The other guy is like trying to be like a real, true blue type, militant person that's like doing, trying to help the neighborhood and stuff. It's just one of those things. It's like, those two sides.
But I agree with you. Like you said, it is a really good under talked about film, but here we go. There are things in good films that are discomforting. And maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good thing. And maybe.
I think, it's, a lot of times you'll watch movies and you'll find like those things that like are like kind of uncomfortable and stuff. But then, you look at the bigger picture and it's really about like, what the whole thing as a whole. It's not just that. It's like, like the boss.
You have seen Sweet That's Badass song, right?
Yeah, right. Yep.
I'm pulled out of that film by the scene with the child and the adult woman nude.
See, that's at the very beginning, right? So it's like
yes, it's at the very beginning.
She's
that
like
scene
having sex. Yeah, that was sort of like kind of uncomfortable. I think wasn't it Mario Van Peebles who played the kid?
Yes.
So it was like, that type of stuff. It's just like, as long as it's not like the whole movie, you know what I mean? I can watch it. It's just like, one little scene. I'm like, okay, I can, or just like fast forward through it.
You remember?
Or just fast forward through it or something. Start like, 5 minutes
through it because it is a part of the story, but it's just like, wow, they really did that back then?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, it is. It's sort of weird, but that he put his kid in that situation too.
And, Melvin has been asked about it, that he had no problem doing it and all that, but still it's like, Lord.
Yeah, it is kind of like,
It's just creepy. It's just creepy stuff that was not creepy at the time, apparently.
Not creepy.
It is today.
Yeah, hopefully you didn't like give them like drugs or something to have them do it or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? Back then, like they were like, giving their kids like pills and weed and stuff.
Completely.
You know what I mean? So it's like, who knows? Different times, crazy filmmakers, crazy like, hippie filmmakers making all types of doing all
And I
types.
think you touched on something there. Filmmakers, like everyone else in the film industry, are creative people. So they're doing things differently.
They're trying to like break rules and just
yes, they're inclined to do that. Just being creative is breaking rules.
Open-minded people trying to that's part of the deal, I guess. But yeah, you just have to, certain things just hit you a certain way. It's just you just don't care for it. But I understand that too. But so I don't know if we should wrap up or.
But we have to just certainly put on record our top 2 favorite films.
Top 2 favorites?
Coffy and Superfly are my top 2.
My top 2. I'm trying to think of my top 2. Top 2. Probably The Mac and Foxy Brown, I think right now are my top 2.
Got it.
I love both of those
different films there for the listeners.
I'm a big fan of Max Julien and Pam, so I have to put them at the very top.
Favorite actress and actor? For me, it's Pam Grier. And actors, I'm going to go with Jim Brown.
See, I think I got to go with Pam as the actress, and as actor, I'm trying to think. I guess it would have to be like Max Julien again.
Okay.
Because I just think he's really good in those movies. He's just very like, he just has a great personality in those films. Really stands out.
Favorite film poster. I'm going to go with number 1 is Trouble Man with the fractured mirror image.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I'm going to follow up with Coffy with
that's a good one.
The action scenes around.
Those are awesome. Yeah, I really love the Hitman poster. I got to say.
Say it again. Hitman, yes.
Poster.
Good one.
Your nickname, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
That I made up for you. And I'll go with like Hitman and like I'm trying to think of another one that I really really like. I do like the Coffee one a lot, but I know like this is one of those things where I'm gonna like say the other one and I'm gonna be like, oh damn, I forgot that other one that I love. I'm trying to think of another great one.
TNT Jackson is a great one.
I do like the TNT Jackson one, but Cleopatra. I'm trying to think. I'm going through my. Superfly is sort of simple, but I do like that. I love the font in that one. That font is awesome.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I wish like I could like get that like on my Apple fonts so I could just like write stuff with that font.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was created just for that film, so it's like one of those things, But
so you're gonna go with Superfly.
But you know what? But like Dolemite is an awesome poster too, with like the fist coming at you.
Yes,
that one.
3D.
But I'll go with like what did I say? I went with
your first one was let's say the Mac, maybe?
Yeah, not the Mac. It was
Hitman.
Yeah, Hitman and Hitman and this is a tough one. Hitman and Dolemite, I guess.
Got it.
I don't know. I guess I'm always gonna like have a tough time picking with my top 2 favorite posters because there's so many good ones. It's tough to like because there's little things I like about each kind, but
favorite soundtrack album too.
I know my number 1 is Superfly.
Superfly.
Yeah, I love that.
For me too. Everybody
that's my favorite.
Listen to Superfly.
Did I do a number 2?
Trouble Man.
Yeah. Trouble Man is really good. That's probably I'm trying to think. My number 2 would be maybe like let's see, like Coffee probably would be my number 2. I just love I love all those songs, all that whole score. I love that score. It's awesome.
Very atmospheric. Yeah.
Like Coffee is the color and like, brawling broads and, like all those Petroni's dead. And all
the titles as well.
Yeah. I love all those. So that's a really good. Yeah. I mean, those are probably the ones I listen to the most, like do the whole thing. But like, but then like Truck Turner has like all those have a really good soundtrack, and Blackula has a really cool soundtrack too.
Really good.
Yeah. That's a cool one. I think Gene Page, Yeah. That was a really awesome one. Yeah.
Favorite film title.
I'm going
to go with Blackula because
that's a good one. Yeah.
You don't have to do any explaining when you say I'm going to see Blackula. You get it.
You know what it is. It's the Black Dracula. It's the Black Dracula.
And it's fun. It's like
it is.
Fun. That's a fun word. Blackula.
Yeah, it is. Very good.
Title, because they've got some
favorite
good ones.
film title. Sheesh. Like probably like Superfly is pretty cool. That's a good film title.
It's
Superfly.
funky.
Just to have the super and the fly, you know what I mean? It kind of just says everything. Yeah, I love
being
that.
cool. Like he's super cool. Super.
Is it? But is it a super fly? Like, is it a fly, or is it like a fly?
Fly is slang for being cool. Oh, you fly.
Oh yeah, I know that. I'm saying, but if people are looking at it, they're saying, is it that a fly? Or what's that film about? Is it about a super fly?
Got it. That's good.
Yeah, I know. That's an awesome. So that was that like a new word back then? Fly.
Yeah, it was a modern word at the time. Yeah, fly. Oh, those are some fly shoes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's like that's probably, and it's I just like the shortness of it, super fly, and that's it's really good.
Totally, I totally do.
Yeah. Okay. Any other things we should bring up?
I think we covered it, Big P. Unless you have any burning questions.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I wrote down several things, but like I figured, like as you do when you do podcasts, you kind of like you start out thinking you're going to go one place, then you're all over the. You know what I mean? That's sort of how we did it. And also with this podcast, I'm thinking like the people that are listening to it, they're probably not like total newbies to movies, anyways. They're kind of like they know where we're coming from. They know like the basic stuff of what we're talking about. So we're just two film geeks talking about movies that we love, basically, and we're just trying to throw in some. Yeah, we're just trying to throw in a little history here and there, and make it just fun to listen to, and nothing.
Blaxploitation book. They say, "Are you an expert?" And I always say, "No, I'm not an expert or anything. I'm a fan."
Yeah, and we're all students, right? I mean, we're all kind of students too, because I mean we're always like reading stuff and learning about new stuff. Like I wouldn't really call myself a film expert. I'm just like, but I mean, I have my little things that I know, and but I mean, I'm not like, I don't have some degree like in saying that I know every last detail about blaxploitation, but I'm just a big fan of those movies, and
yeah, it's always humbling to me, Pete, because I do a lot of talk that I will run into students who know more than I do about something.
Right.
And that is why I'm not an expert. You know that, and I didn't
pick up. Yeah, and you're picking up stuff from them, and then they pick up stuff from you, and yeah,
it's a lot of fun. Just being
that's great. I mean, that's. I hope you can do more of those like shows, those like the poster shows and stuff, and like you've done some.
Pretty impressive, Pete. I know that you probably don't come down to New York, but it's up to March.
I'll have to come down to. Yeah.
This has really come full circle 50 years later.
Yeah, I mean, it really has. Now it's like just everybody kind of knows about it. It's just part of the pop culture landscape now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just, what I mean? People, and they love the art and like all that stuff, and the film.
We're talking about words, Pete. So the Superfly and Blackula being words.
Yeah.
So is the word blaxploitation.
Right. So, and that's kind of come full circle too.
You just have to hear it once, and you're like, I've heard that word before. You remember hearing it.
That, yeah.
Now you connect the dots.
And also like how like when it first like they first used the word, it was sort of meant like as a dig at like the whole thing. Like
it was coined by an African American movie,
which is weird. You'd think that would be like from somebody else, but it was from a black guy's. But it's just the whole thing. Like it like now when we're talking about blaxploitation, now we're just looking through that word, and like I just see it like as just a way to categorize the movies. It's not like it's not like some evil word or something. You know what I mean? That's
agreed.
You know what I mean?
But my situation with Gordon Parks.
Yeah,
he wouldn't be interviewed because I was calling his film Shaft
blaxploitation. Yeah,
blaxploitation. He really, as many people do, Fred Williamson. It was derogative.
He didn't like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I should move past calling them that. I should call his films black action films, and they're that too.
It's
black action films,
pretty close to.
But they're also blaxploitation films, boo.
Right. But then I think, I remember the guy who directed the Mac. It was Michael Campus, I think. Michael Campus.
Yes.
I think he had a similar problem, like with the blaxploitation thing. He didn't want anybody calling the Mac blaxploitation because he thought it was like a real bio. I mean, it was, but it wasn't like meant as a derogatory thing. He just felt his movie was more like it was about like real life and stuff, real situations, and I guess it was. But at the same time, we're just calling it that because of just to be in that category with black films, about black genre films.
Yeah, and we are open, Pete, to how people want their work talked about, right?
Yeah, right.
You're not going to tell me how to talk about your work. I would talk about it the way that I do, and you talk about it the way you do when you do.
Right. And this the fact we're talking about it at all is pretty. I'd be like, oh wow, you're talking about my movie
years later.
I mean, you kind of understand, like, oh yeah, you don't want someone like kind of like putting your movie down with some word or something, but at the same time, that's the word isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about the work and the actors and the art and stuff behind it.
The book is still called Blaxploitation Cinema, not Blaxploitation Cinema, the essential reference guide. It's fun because we're in the second printing. The first was softcover. This one is hardcover, new film reviews. It's a really great, we're real lucky.
Yeah. It's a great book. Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you wrote the book about Cher, you wrote about Donna Summer, and what were the other two? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so I wrote a book about being a food server here in New York City.
Okay.
That one's kind of off the radar now. It was kind of like a free association thing. That was the only other one, aside from the major writing pieces in the Times.
Okay.
We've been several things for the American Library of Congress.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah, and it has to do with Black music and Blaxploitation films. And
that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm happy that you're doing what you love and you're being successful at, and you've been contributing to our sites and stuff too on the side, which is nice and which is really
that's a joy.
A lot of good reviews and articles, and
we want to get the films out there.
We want to keep
them out,
keep them in the public consciousness as
yes. Google the film title,
right?
The view will come up, and you decide for yourself.
Right. It's, being fans of these, it's like that we're coming from that angle. Like, we just love movies and we're trying to like celebrate them and, share them with people. And that's all you can really do. I mean, we can't, you just.
We're talking about things that we love.
Yeah.
And so anyone else out there loves them, and we know they do. Then one of our jobs to direct people in a direction that might serve their interests.
Right. That's a good way to do it. Well, I guess that about does it for our Blaxploitation episode. So thanks, Josiah, for joining me today. And
I had a stone gas time.
You had a great time. Yeah.